We are in another episode of Savage Time TV with our great guest, musical artist, producer, Summers Ovver. How you feeling today, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just, trying to stay healthy, stay healthy out here with the coronavirus, all that good shit. First thing I want to get into is Summers Ovver, bro. I thought that was a really interesting name. Could you tell us about like how that came about, how the Summers Ovver name came?
Summers Ovver came through. Okay. Well, I used to have a group that I was working with, and we called ourselves the Warnings, right? So we were putting out a lot of work then, which is how I originally started building up my Instagram. So a couple things went left, and I was like, all right, I'm about to just do this joint myself.
Okay.
So I had to think of a name, right? So one of my favorite artists I like listen to right now is Party Next Door, right?
Okay.
So I looked at the story about how he got his name, and I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to just come up with something that just sounds hot and that just works. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I was like, all right. So I started playing. I started thinking about stuff, and I'm really good with coming up with names, but I took some time on this one. And then I was like, all right. So I work hard, I go hard, I do my thing. So and it just hit me like playtime's over, right? So I was like, summer's over. And I was like, summer's like, my homie actually helped me kind of understand what it even meant after I came up with it. He was like, yo, like, summer's over. Like, it's time to get to work. Like, it's time to get school. Ain't no more summer break. Summer's over. It's time to get to work. But the idea, it felt more like, because I do a lot of R&B, so it felt R&B. So if you heard Summer's Over and the music I make, it matches.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where the name came from.
Okay, yeah, that shit was really interesting. I was like, bro, first off, it's dope as fuck.
Thank you.
It's dope as shit. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, bro, that shit's dope. That shit's dope. Like, I gotta ask him about that. But you being in production, when did you realize that being a producer was gonna be your passion, that what you was gonna put, your life's passion, like that was gonna be what you put your energy behind?
I love that question. So, all right. At first, I wanted to play basketball, right? When I was young, when I was like 17, 18, 19.
Hoop dreams. We all had hoop dreams.
Man, listen, I had the hoop dream. Like, my friends, like anybody that knows me knows, like, there was nothing you could tell me. I was going to the NBA, right?
Nice.
But, so I was on my way to college, right, upstate in New York. And I was actually going to go up there to play basketball. But I'm at the crib, right? And I have a musical family, right? So all my family, they all do something musical. And what ended up happening is one night I'm laying in the bed, and I swear God just woke me up, like it had to been like 10:30 at night, right? And I'm in my house, or I'm in my parents' crib in Newark before we get ready to go off to school. But anyway, so I'm laying in the bed, and God just woke me up, and I had this piano that my aunt had gave me. So I ran downstairs and grabbed it. I just started playing it like all night long. And from there, like it had to have been like 10:30 at night. I played it till like 7 in the morning. So I'm just in there playing it, and I go back to sleep. I did that for like a week straight. So it started being like a piano player, right? Okay. Then wanting to play in church. And then from there, I started realizing, I was like, yo, like, I think I want to make beats. So I started like getting the stuff that I need to get to make beats. Mm-hmm. And I realized like when I crafted my very first beat, I let one of my homies hear it, and he was like, bro, this is amazing. He said, for this to be your first beat, it's amazing. And then from there on, I just started getting that passion. Like that fire started building, right, like from a little flame to like started growing. Like, cause I felt like I was unlocking like what, like my family legacy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I feel like that joint. Like, all right, yeah, you was playing basketball, that's cool, but you need to come on home to what really is inside of you. Right. And when I started thinking about, as time goes on, I was like, yo, I think I've always loved music. Like I think I've always like had a connection to it. I just didn't know it. And then from there I was like, I started putting beats together. Then I got a person on my songs. Get an artist on one of my songs, and it was like, for me, it was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? My first record was phenomenal. It wasn't all that good to where it is now, but I was in love with it, and I was like, yo, yeah, I'm going to see this all the way through. It was just something. It was just a confidence inside, like a confirmation inside that I just knew, like, yo, I'm on the right path with this. So I just put everything I had into it.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up, man. I could definitely relate to that. Just like you just feel like you know, it's like I can feel like it's like you just get some type, it's like a new energy. It's like a new energy kind of takes over you when you're doing something that you truly love to do.
Yeah.
And I could definitely relate to that. And could you explain to us, you were talking about how, you know, you like a lot of R&B. Could you explain to us maybe your style of production?
All right, I always start off with melody. Melody is always the first thing I go with. When I make a beat, it's always melody. Because anytime anybody listens to anything, it's always melody. You always remember the melody. So I start off finding a melody that causes you to move. And sometimes, a lot of times when you listen to music, you moving without even thinking. Like, you're not even bobbing your head. You hear something that's hot, you bobbing your head before you even really realizing you're bobbing your head. So when I'm making, if I can start getting that nod subconsciously, then I know I got something. So I go from there, and then I start layering drums, which is, I love the drums. I love layering drums. Drums are amazing. So I kind of craft it from there. I always start on the piano, though. So piano, melody, drums, and then once we do all that, we start adding the little bells and whistles, little extra stuff. Then we arrange it, and then we got a full song. And that's the short version of what I do.
Okay. And who would you say, if anybody, influences your production? Is there like who influenced you when it comes to production?
Because of one of my, and that's a big question for me, because one of my favorite artists growing up is Brian McKnight. Like, okay. Brian McKnight, when it comes to R&B, Brian McKnight and early Usher, they raised me. So, like, when it comes to like how I make R&B, I always try to embody that kind of feel sometimes, a lot of times. But when it comes to production, Rodney Jerkins, a guy named Darkchild from the 90s, another guy named Brian Michael Cox, did a lot of Mariah Carey stuff, a lot of, he did Usher stuff, all of that. So, like, when it comes to my production style, I like to feel like I'm a mixture of like all those guys, because those are the people I listen to growing up. Yeah.
Okay, and is there anybody that you could, if you wanted to in the industry, collab with? If anybody you wanted to get into the studio with and make a beat with, who would that be?
Man, they may not be relevant anymore, but shoot, I mean, I'm a big fan of like, yo, if you get a chance to work with a legend, you work with them. Like, I don't care if, you know, like Luther Vandross is not in the Billboard, you know what I'm saying? You would work with him. I mean, he's dead, but you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, but Mariah Carey, Usher, shoot, man, I even take Brian McKnight right now, just because they're legends, like, you know what I'm saying? But if we talking about relevant artists or R&B artists, to me, August Alsina is a big one. Her, definitely. Yeah, those two for sure, because I'm a big guy on talent. Like, I want to work with talent. I don't care about making, you know what I'm saying, being on Billboard, selling a bunch of records. Yeah, like, I want to work with people who I feel like music or voices touch other people, like touch the world, like can change the world. So I know that might be a big stretch for saying that about August, but when I hear him, he reminded me of like guys who sung in like the 90s, like 112 and all that. Like,
August is tough.
Yeah, August is a problem. So like, in her, she's just a whole nother, she like, it's phenomenal. Daniel Caesar, yeah, like, fire. But when it comes to hip hop, YNB Cordae, YBN Cordae.
He needed a Grammy.
Yeah, he did, man.
He needed that Grammy.
But he's a talented, like, he's a rapper's rapper. And Joyner Lucas.
ADHD.
Yeah, that joint was fire. That joint was fire from top to bottom. So, like, I'm a big guy on talent. I ain't about fluff or none of that crazy stuff. Like, I like guys who really got skill. Like,
okay. Well, I see you definitely know your artist. Well, who would you say, in your opinion, is more important, though? Would you say it's the producer or the artist when it comes to making a track? It's
like asking who's more important in a marriage, the husband or the wife.
Okay, explain that to me.
So, a song is consisted of the beat and the artist, right? So, that's obvious, right? So, but it's a marriage. So, one is not really more important than the other in a sense, but there is a leader. In my opinion, when you're married, the man is the leader of the household, all that. Mm-hmm. And that's the artist. But the artist needs the beat in order to be the artist.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? Same way a husband needs his wife to be everything he can be. An artist needs the producer in order to craft the magic, which is a song, which we can equivalent that to a baby or whatever. But, you know, when you have your first child, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. So when you, a good artist and a good producer come together, they create an amazing song. That's just like I said, amazing child, man.
All right. Well, I definitely understand it now. I got my answer. Well, in 2020, and just for like the last, I would say 5 to 7 years, just me personally, I would say that producers are like really hot right now. Like, you know, like Metro Boomin.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just, you know, they're in more high demand. I would say they're more in the light. I would say people know their faces more.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the producer's place in the industry right now?
I feel like it all depends on what they want out of it. Not everybody wants to be in the forefront, but a lot of guys like want to be in the forefront as well. Like it's so like guys like Metro Boomin and like Murder Beats and guys like that market themselves as artists. And I took a play out of their book because you see a lot of times with Murder Beats, he works with certain artists. He's featured as an artist on there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, well, I forgot what song it was he had, but I know, I know a guy, you know Diplo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diplo, he does a song with, like, the Jonas Brothers or something like that. I'm going pop with it. So, like, it'll be the Jonas Brothers song that Diplo produced, but he'll be featured as an artist, even though he doesn't rap or sing, but he made the beat. And I feel like that's important for producers because a lot of times the industry or rappers or anybody are not going to give producers credit. So producers have to find a way sometimes to step in front and be like, listen, I made this beat, because you let a rapper tell sometimes, they be like, man, I mixed it, I made the beat, I did the graphic art, I did everything, because they just want all the attention. But really, it's all about sharing the spotlight, especially if you got hit. But yeah, their position in the industry is pretty much whatever they want it to be. Sometimes some guys is cool with being in the background. They cool with just making the beat, getting whatever, and keep it going. But a lot of guys, especially now, in order to build their business up, you know, they gotta market it like artists.
Okay, and that just leads me into my next question. As a producer, have you ever felt underappreciated? And if you did, could you tell us about that?
Have I ever felt unappreciated?
As a producer?
No, I can't say I have, because I never put myself in that position as of yet. Because I did a lot of studying before I even really put stuff out. So I kind of learned from that. You know what I'm saying? I'm lying. There is a couple times.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm lying. I'm definitely lying. There's a couple times that I felt underappreciated, especially early on. Yep. Yeah, it was a couple guys I was working with, and we put a record out. And, yeah, man, I was telling them, I was like, especially when I got that idea to be like, yo, put me as a feature. And they were like, you know, they kind of like ignored me, kind of. Like, or I'd be like, yo, let's put this out together. And they kind of were like, well, you know, I got this going on and that going on. I'm like, what's that mean with me? Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Right, I could still be part of it. Like, we made a song together.
Exactly. Like that's my beat. Like,
yeah, like, come on. Like, and they kind of just overwritten, or a lot of guys you make a song with, especially early on, will be like, you know, they'll have a whole song made, but they won't want to work. They'll find another producer who may be a little bit more on than you and kind of tuck you to the side because you can't do for them what that other person can do. Okay. So that's like, dang, bro, like I make like we had something going on and you just dipped me for the next dude because you being selfish about it. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to just harp on that just because like a lot of people just don't know what goes on day to day in the industry of a producer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But speaking more into that, like, what's the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome just being a musical artist, period?
People taking you seriously. That's one. I got two. One was people, like, understanding your position and understanding taking you seriously. And that's really difficult in this industry as far as, in music, because artists...
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, artists don't want to they don't want to share. Like I said earlier, they don't want to share the spotlight with stuff, and it gets difficult with that. But but the main thing is reaching audiences, though. Like that's one of the bigger things is reaching audiences, is being able to get in front of new people daily so that you can build and grow. So that's one of the biggest hurdles, is finding a way to get to new people. Okay. Yeah, I butchered that up, but yeah.
Nah, you good, bro. You good. And what are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of?
Yeah.
Is the fact that I accomplished a project, like I accomplished a body of work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like even before the Summers Ovver thing, like we was putting out projects and songs and stuff, and being able to generate streams, being able to make money from the streaming. So that was a proud moment when you're able to do that. Exactly. But besides that, honestly, is people appreciating your talent. Like I get DMs, I get comments, I get all that type of stuff about people are like, yo, I love what you're doing. I love the vibes. I love the feel. Like it's different. And I can feel what you're doing. And that gives you that appreciation that you've been looking for. And that confirmation, like, yo, you're really continuing on. Because early on, it was a lot of, we good, it's not there, this is not right, that's not right, mix is not right. All this type of stuff that can really make you be like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, if you don't love it, you be like, I don't want to do this, bro. But because I loved it and because I believed in myself and because I was like, yo, I'm really about to put this work in, like, I start to see the fruits of it. I get people who want to work. I get people who like, yo, it's to the point now where I got to tell people like, nah, I'm cool. Like I ain't got, enough room for that right now.
Right.
And it just took a long time. And looking back from then, you don't even notice like the growth until you can actually stop and be like, yo, I've come a long, long way. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of is starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That fruits of your labor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's always good when it starts to pay off. It's always good when it's being acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? It feels like the universe, all right, you finally at least showing me that I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Gives you some more confidence, gives you some more energy.
Yeah.
So who are some of your favorite unknown producers that most people don't know, but probably have some talent? You know what I mean? That you like personally.
Unknown producer. There's a dude in Wilmington named Icewater Black, and the dude I went to high school with, he's fire. Who else is another unknown producer? Man. There's my homie, he's like my older brother. He's the one that really believed in me, younger brother. He's the one that believed in me when I first started making beats. His name is Fariz. But he's a songwriter, but he produces songs outside. He produces songs on the original, like how it used to be back in the day where you was actually in the midst, like, all right, like not making beats, because there's a difference between being a producer and being a beat maker. So a beat maker person, a composer, somebody who can make the beat, but that's it. They just make the beat and slide it off. Mm-hmm. Or a producer is somebody that can find the right artist, that can put pieces together and be like, all right, this goes here. Like how Quincy Jones used to do with Michael, right? Mm-hmm. Quincy he didn't play like any instruments. I don't want to say that wrong. I think he did play one or two, but he didn't make the whole thing. He brought in that guitar player, that keyboard player, that drummer, and he would be like, this is what I'm looking for. And he would orchestrate how the songs would be crafted. And that's really what a producer does. It has nothing to do with making beats. They give it that short-term name now. But what the essence of a producer is, it's all about being able to administrate a song.
Okay. Well, first off, you just taught me another lesson, because I definitely didn't know that was the difference. But I definitely see, like, with Quincy Jones, like, see what you're saying, because he was known to, basically, like, put more pieces together, I would say. I would say, like, making the beat, I guess, is one piece, instead of, like, and then Quincy Jones maybe put together 5 pieces along with the beat making.
But you can be a beat maker and a producer. That's the thing. Like, you can make the beat, and then, like you can find the artist, you could do all that, and then you actually have a hand in it from the beginning to the end. A lot of times, they tell you, like, producer is from the time the song is made all the way to like the mix and the release. That means the songwriting, the mixing, how you should sing on it, everything. Like, that's what a real producer does. That's the real definition of a producer. A beat maker, he just makes, like I said, his job is easy. You just make the beat, slide it, and then allow the other producer to put the song together. That's why they don't be getting as many credit points on the records as they should. But it's another story.
And just, us both being black men, just out here following our dreams, just knowing how important that is. And just, I know you probably influence a lot of people that you don't know, that you do know, a lot of people watching you. If you had a message just to the youth or just to everybody that watches you, what would you say just on following your dreams and your passion?
Never give up. I know that's so cliche, but it's deep because it's really a thing that people deal with. We deal with, especially as being black men, identity crisis a lot of times, about knowing who we are and knowing where we come from. So one thing is that if you got something that's in your heart to become, you give it everything that you have. And I mean that in all seriousness. Like, you give it everything that you have, because it's really only a 1% of us that make it. And what I mean by make it, I mean make it to what we want to live, like the life we want to live. It's 1%. Because in order to achieve what you want to achieve, you have to be willing to give up certain things. You have to be willing to say, yo, like what everybody else in the world would be like, yo, you're crazy for that. Like when I left my job, they were like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're wilding. And I was like, man, you don't understand, because you don't understand the fire. Like, it's certain things inside of people that, like, you just know, you know what I'm saying? And when you know, same with what you running your podcast or and everything that's going on, it's like, yo, you know that's your passion. You know that's just what you want to build up. And you can't let nobody talk you out of it. Not your mom, not your dad, not your grandma, not your friends, not your girl, not your husband, whoever, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand that when you have something inside of you, you deserve to your future self to give it everything that you have. You owe it to your future self to give it everything that you have. So if anybody that listening, all my people that follow me, like, look, you already know how I get down. Like, you give it everything that you have to the bitter end. And when it gets to the bitter end, that's when it becomes sweet, because anybody who has that type of will can get anything done. The human will is a very strong thing. If you want to get something done, you can get it done. You get what I'm saying? And there's nothing you can't get done. There's nothing you can't be. And anybody that says it's too far or too hard, X them off. Because imagine if they told Bill Gates, man, that's impossible. Like what they told Michael Jackson, like, man, you're not going to be the best. I mean, you're good now. You know what I'm saying? What they told Barack, like, yo, it's not the time for a black president. Like, Barack was like, nah, man, I'm going to do this anyway. You get what I'm saying? And it's about, sometimes you got to just stand in the ring by yourself. Ain't nobody in the corner, everybody in front of you. Like, you got to fight through everybody else. But that will, man, that faith in God, and that understanding when God tells you, yo, it's go time, man, listen, if he for you, ain't nothing else against you.
That's real, man. And that's going to wrap it up. Another episode of Savage Time TV. Again, we got producer, artist Summers Ovver. I'm your host, Brandon. Check us out. We out of here.
Yeah.